Okay, these are the notes for MyMathLab lesson 1.3, and this lesson is on fractions. And after today, you should be able to simplify fractions, multiply and divide fractions, and add and subtract fractions. The problems that I'll be doing as examples today that come from your MyMathLab homework are problem numbers 1, 7, 9, 13, and 20. So taking a look at problem number 1, we're going to simplify this fraction 11 over 77. Now you can type this in your calculator using the fraction button and do 11 over 77, hit equals, and it will simplify it for you. But let's understand what the calculator is doing. The calculator is finding a number that goes into 11 and 77. And the number that goes into 11 and 77 is 11. So the numerator and denominator of this fraction can both be divided by 11. 11 divided by 11 is 1, and 77 divided by 11 is 7. So 11 over 77 simplifies to 1/7. 11 parts out of 77 total parts is the same thing as 1 part out of 7 parts. At this point, I want you to pause the video and try numbers 1 through 3 on your MyMathLab homework on your own. Now the next thing we want to learn how to do is multiply and divide fractions. So taking a look at problem number 7 from your homework, problem number 7 says find the area of the rectangle. Recall that the area is length times width. In this problem, we can see the rectangle on the right has a length of 6 over 23 feet, and the width has the rectangle has a width of 1/6 foot. So to find the area of this rectangle, we're going to multiply the length and the width. So substituting 6 over 23 for the length and 1 over 6 for the width, I'll multiply those together. Again, you can type this in your calculator using your fraction button, but to understand what the calculator is doing, whenever we multiply fractions, you're going to multiply straight across the numerators and straight across the denominators. So 6 times 1 is 6, and 23 times 6 is 138. The next thing to do would be to see if this fraction would simplify, just like we did on 1 through 3. Again, your calculator will simplify this for you, but the number that goes into both 6 and 138 is 6. So we can divide the numerator and denominator by 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 138 divided by 6 is 23. So the area of this rectangle is 1/23 feet, or square feet. Now let's take a look at number 9, where we're dividing 3/12 by 3 and 1/6. Again, we can type this in the calculator the way it's written. The calculator will divide both of these fractions and simplify it for you. But let me show you the steps that the calculator is doing behind the scenes. So the calculator sets this problem up 3/12 divided by 3 and 1/6, and division is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal of the second fraction. Now before we can take the reciprocal of the second fraction, we have to turn it into an improper fraction. So 3 and 1/6 turned into an improper fraction is 19 over 6. So I have 3/12 divided by 19 over 6. Now I'll change it to multiplication. So 3/12 divided by 19 over 6 becomes 3/12 times 6 over 19. 6 over 19 is the reciprocal of 19 over 6. Just flip the fraction over. That's what reciprocal means. Now I'll do just like I did on number 7. When I multiply fractions, I multiply straight across the numerators, straight across the denominators. Again, the calculator will do this for you. 3 times 6 is 18. 12 times 19 is 228. Now we'll simplify the fraction. 6 is the number that goes into 18 and 228. So my fraction simplifies to 3 over 38. So 3/12 divided by 3 and 1/6 is 3 over 38. Again, you don't have to show all these steps because you can just type it in your calculator. 3/12 divided by 3 and 1/6, and the calculator will give you the answer of 3 over 38. It will do all the steps for you. At this point, I want you to pause the video and do numbers 6 through 10 on your own. Practice multiplying and dividing fractions. The next thing we want to do in this lesson is add and subtract fractions. Now, if you remember from elementary school, what you have to have in order to add and subtract fractions is a common denominator. Now, for you, the calculator again will get those common denominators for you. But again, I'm going to show all the steps. So let's look at problem number 13. The circle below represents a whole, or 1. Use subtraction to determine the unknown part of the circle. In order to determine the unknown part of the circle, we first have to determine the parts that we know added together, and then we could subtract those from 1. So I'm going to add 5/12 plus 1/3 plus 1/5 to determine how much of the circle we know. Then I can subtract that from 1 to determine the unknown part. 5/12 plus 1/3 plus 1/5. I need to find a common denominator. I know that 60 is a number that 12, 3, and 5 go into, so 60 is my common denominator. I'm going to make equivalent fractions, so 5/12, 5 parts out of 12 whole parts, is equal to how many parts out of 60? So because 12 times 5 is 60, I need to multiply the numerator by the same number. So 5 times 5 is 25. So 5/12 is equal to 25 parts out of 60 parts. Then I'm going to do the same for 1/3. I know that 3 times 20 is 60, so I'll multiply 1 times 20. So 1/3 is the same thing as 20 parts out of 60 parts. Now to change 1/5 to parts out of 60, I'll multiply by 12, because 5 times 12 is 60. Now that I have a common denominator, I can add my fractions. 25 out of 60 plus 20 out of 60 plus 12 out of 60. Remember, I only want to add the numerators, and then I'll put it all over 60. 25 plus 20 plus 12 is 57. So the part of the circle that we know is 57 parts out of 60 parts. Now I need to know what part of the circle is left. So I want to subtract 57 parts out of 60 parts from 1 whole. Again, I need a common denominator. 1 whole can be written as 60 parts out of 60 parts. So 60 out of 60 parts minus 57 out of 60 parts leaves 3 out of 60 parts. This fraction can be simplified because 3 goes into 3 and 60. If I divide both the numerator and the denominator by 3, 3 divided by 3 is 1, 60 divided by 3 is 20. So the part of the circle that is unknown is 1/20. The last problem I want to look at is number 20. Number 20 says, in 2006, a company operated a total of 42 stores worldwide. The following chart shows the store breakdown by brand. What fraction of the company's stores are not Brand E stores? Simplify the fraction. So in this case, we first need to make fractions out of each brand of store. To make a fraction, I always want the part out of the total. So brand A represents 1,435 out of 3,042 stores. Brand B is 257 stores out of the total 3,042 stores. All I'm doing is putting the number of stores for each brand over the total number of stores. I'll continue to do this for all of the brands. So brand C is 505 out of 3,042 stores. Brand D is 840 out of 3,042 stores. And brand E is 5 out of 3,042. So again, going back to the question, it says what fraction of the company's stores are not brand E stores? So we just want to add all of the brands except brand E. So adding all of these fractions, I get 1,435 plus 257 plus 505 plus 840. When I add those numerators, I get 3,037 out of 3,042. That is the fraction that are not brand E stores. So those are all the examples for this lesson. So you can finish your homework, numbers 11 through 20 now. And this is due on Thursday. And please let me know if you have any questions.